couple of lessons ago, we inserted two tables into the slide you see here on my screen. So we inserted one table just by choosing a slide that had content, and then we chose the table icon. And then we drew our own table by using the Insert tab and inserting a table that way. But there is a third way. So we did a little bit of formatting in the last lesson. Now it's time to insert another kind of table, you could say, and that's an Excel spreadsheet. So we can take an Excel spreadsheet and create the exact same thing that we could in Excel here on a slide. The neat thing is that by not doing a table and by doing a spreadsheet, we have all of the Excel tools at our disposal. So what we're going to do is add a new slide. Now we're going to continue to work on Eat Cake 8A or B, whatever you're working on. Now if you're skipping to this lesson, go to the Office button, click Open. Navigate to your Lesson 8 folder because Eat Cake 8C will get you all caught up. Give that one a click, then Open. And now scroll down on the left-hand side because slide number 7 is the one you want to click on. Okay, so everybody's all caught up. What we're going to do now is insert a blank slide after this slide. So we're going to go to the New Slide drop-down, so make sure the Home tab selected. Click the New Slide drop-down. And Title Only, because we need the blank space for our Excel spreadsheet that we're going to create. So we'll click Title Only, and let's see what happens. We'll type in Inventory up here, just like we did on the previous slide. But this is a different way to get our table in here. We're going to insert an Excel spreadsheet. So we go to the Insert tab, and it's kind of a table, so we click the Table drop down, and down here at the bottom is Excel spreadsheet. So we give that a click, and you can see we've got a tiny spreadsheet, at least the beginnings of a tiny spreadsheet. The other cool thing that's happened you need to notice is up at the top on the ribbon. And what we're looking at now is the exact same ribbon you'd see if you were using Microsoft Excel. So I'm going to make this much larger. I'm going to click and drag from the bottom corner here. When I see the border here selected, I can actually move my entire table or spreadsheet by clicking and dragging it down, and then I'll worry about formatting it after. So right now you can see we've got these tiny cells. It's a mini Excel spreadsheet. I'm going to drag these borders out a little bit too, just so we can see more of it. You need to have the double arrow to do that. Okay, running out of space there. All right. So let's work with this now. All we'll do is we'll enter some data in here, and we'll do it as if we're using Microsoft Excel because in effect we really are. Now there's a whole title on Excel, so we're not going to go deep into the functions and features of Microsoft Excel here, but let's just do what we did with our table in the previous lessons. What we're going to do is type in a header row here, so I'm going to type in item number, hit my tab key, description. I'm going to do a price. Don't worry about the column widths right now. Quantity. And then we'll do a total down here. Okay, now to change our border widths, we can just go in between the column headings up here, between the B and the C, for example, and just drag that out. The rest seem to fit fine. I'm going to do a little formatting to begin. I'm going to click on the 1 over here for row 1. That selects my entire top row. And I want anything to be in there. I'll add text to be bolded. That looks good. And maybe put some shading in here too. So I'm going to go over here where I've got fill colors. And I'm just going to choose a light gray and click right there. Okay, good. Now before I start putting in data, which can be text and numbers and even formulas, I'm going to do some formatting ahead of time. So I'm going to click on the A here to select all of column A. These are going to be numbers, but not dollar amounts per se. So I want to make sure that the number format from the number group up here says general, which is no specific format. Description is going to be text. Then we're going to have a price in here, so I'm going to select column C. And I also want column E to be a dollar amount. So I can hold down the control key on my keyboard and click the E, and you can see now I've got two columns that are not side by side selected. And that's actually going to be a currency amount. So I can click the dollar sign or click the drop down here to choose from other currency formats like the English pound and the euro. Well, it's actually the US or Canadian dollar that I'm looking for. So with these two selected, clicking the dollar sign means any numbers I type in here will automatically be dollar amounts. Now this one here for column D, I'm just going to click on the D, is again going to be a general. So I want to make sure it says general up here. Okay, so let's start with our first item number. I'm going to type in 1, 2, 3, 4. And when I hit Tab, you can see it's just a plain old number. It's right aligned by default. So I'm ready to type my description. I'm going to type in muffin tins. The price for those, $7.99 is what I'm going to type. When I hit Tab, you can see it becomes $7.99. The quantity I'm going to put in that our inventory here has 35 of them. And the total is actually going to be a formula. So I don't want to do the math myself. I want to take what's in column C, row 2 here, or C2 times D2. So I'm going to start it with an equal sign. That tells Excel here I'm starting with a formula. And I'm just going to type in the cell addresses. C2 times, which is the asterisk, D2. And when I hit enter, I actually get the answer. Very nice. Okay, over here, item number. I'm going to do 5678. I'm going to type in cake pan. I'm going to type in 11.89. It becomes a dollar amount. Let's just type in 14 of those. And instead of putting in that formula again, I'm going to click over here on top of this one. And I'm going to go to the bottom corner. When I see the plus sign go to a narrow black version, I can click and drag, which is going to copy my formula down, but it's going to use relative addresses, so it actually uses these figures to come up with the total. Okay, so you've got the idea. We don't need to put in too much text here, or data, or numbers, or formulas. So let's just click outside of our spreadsheet. And you can see that we're left with the contents, and our ribbon goes back to what we're used to seeing in Microsoft PowerPoint. So of course we can narrow this down so it fits properly, and you can see what's happening. Because I'm changing the size of my entire object, it's squishing the columns together. So how do I just show this stuff here? Well, I go back inside with a double click. So a double click is what gets you inside. You're back inside to your spreadsheet, and now when you go to the border and drag it in, you're not adjusting the entire size of your object. You're just bringing down the borders. Same thing goes from the bottom. I'm going to bring it up so it's not so huge. And now when I click outside, I'm returned back to PowerPoint, and I can stretch it out so it's a little bit easier to read. All right. Now with it selected still, because it's an object that's been drawn after I clicked outside of the spreadsheet, I have drawing tools up here. And down below on the Format tab, I have access to some drawing tools if I wanted to. So I could change things like the fill and the outline and so on. So let's go to Shape Fill here, for example, and maybe we want a texture in the background. You can see as we hover over these, we get those textures showing up and a live preview of what's happening in the background. So I'm going to choose Parchment. I'm going to click outside my table, and there's my finished product. So again, I could go in there and do some formatting. I could do some formatting on the text and so on, but that's similar to what we've done with other tables. But in this case, we've inserted a spreadsheet, and to go back into the spreadsheet, remember, you can double click and then continue entering your data. And also remember, data can be numbers, it can be text. So we've got numbers, text. It can also be formulas. And that's the beauty of inserting an Excel spreadsheet, is the math is done for you. All right. So the next thing that we're going to look at in the next lesson is how we can use some of this data to create charts.